When you can have an impact on the game like you did on Sunday, but also in a winning effort, how satisfying is that for you?
It definitely feels good to, well, really just the winning part. I mean, but to be able to, have my boys back out there, that's probably the best feeling about of everything.
Everyone's been talking about you since OTAs, about how much you've grown. Do you sense that as well? I mean, are you starting to see that?
For sure. Just as far as how far I've come mentally, just adjusting to everything. Because this is only my third year playing interior D-line, so just getting used to all that. But I mean, yeah, I've definitely come a long way, and I still have a long way to go for sure.
Specifically, what would you say? Is the biggest point of growth for you?
Just going out there, having a better understanding of what's going on, and then just allowing me to play faster.
How up does this team get going into Arrowhead? I mean, it's always competitive, kind of angle, obviously, with the team being a rival. How is that for you this year?
Obviously, a division opponent, so, they paint it to be bigger. But, I mean, it's nothing different. We go in, have our game plan, and do what we always do. We don't want to change up anything and, go in there and come out with the W.
What's the challenge of facing a player like Mahomes, who's seen every kind of defense, and how do you adjust to a guy like that?
Obviously he's a great quarterback, very smart player. Just got to be careful with him, because he can utilize his legs as well as his great arm, and so we just got to be prepared for that, and maybe him running around and everything, playing with a good competitive stamina, and containing him in that pocket and getting him down.
When you look at the tape for the Chiefs, when you look at that interior offensive line, guys like Creed Humphrey and guys like Trey, what are some things about them that just make them so good and hard to go up against from pass rush perspective?
I think just, especially with Creed, he's a very smart player, and he can move actually pretty good, and so I think overall it just makes him a great player. Obviously, he's in the middle of the field. He's a center, so he's the heart of the O-line, and so the guys next to him, I think they just play together really well, and so we have to take account for that and come up with a good game plan.
When Mahomes likes to escape, he likes to go up the gut. How important is it going to be for you guys to be in that interior really disciplined as well? Push that pocket.
Just understanding that Mahomes is Mahomes, and he's gonna make plays, and just understanding we got to do our best to be able to contain him and keep him in that pocket. Understand that he will run it up the middle, and just being able to have awareness of where he's at in the pocket and feeling where he's at.
Pete talked about the effort plays, the relentless effort plays by you. Where does that come from for you?
You're good. I think that just comes from, I don't know, Robbie, he always says, you tell someone's love for their teammates by how close they are to the ball when the play's over. And so I just try to be always there, hair on fire, try to run to the ball, especially, we got a bunch of guys on D-line that do that. AB, he's known as our screen killer. He's always running, and of course Max. And so, obviously I'm trying to play up to their standard and everything. So, that's just our standard in the D-line room.
Jonah, coming off a game where nearly everybody on the line got to make a play, just how much is confidence running high in this unit right now?
I feel like we are doing a good job of not being too high. Obviously, it feels good in the moment, but in the football, it's on to the next week. You got an opponent every week, and so obviously, we've had our moment after the game, and then now we're just back in the middle because we don't want to get too high, don't want to get too low.
Know who you're working with, know where your help at, what leverage you're playing with. I think you'll be fine.
You guys obviously coming off your best pass rush of the season. Just how valuable was that going into this game?
Oh, it was very valuable. We was able to mix up the rushes, and we was able to play with a bit of a lead and force them to have to pass the ball more than run. And we was dominating the run early, so that also allowed us to be able to rush the passer. So I think it go hand in hand. Obviously we just got to stop the run again and just try to force them into passing situations so we can do what we do.
Pete was talking about you having a resurgence in the game and how you finding that love again for it. What has that meant to you this year to get going the way you have been?
Well, it's just been fun, just playing with a group of guys that, just love playing football. I think I lean on them the most, to be able to go out there and do my best, and I think it's the same for them as well. So it's just, a good brotherhood.
How much does the experience going against Mahomes in the past in the Super Bowl just kind of help heading into this game and for the team too?
Yeah, I mean, for me alone, it's just I ain't scared. I know a lot of people look at him as you know, for what he is. You know, the guy won 3 Super Bowls or whatnot, and you know, obviously, but it's just good to have experience being able to play. And you know, I treat every game like a big game, but you know, to go on the road and be able to go in their house when they got a good stadium, and you know, be able to do what we do. So I know I'm gonna be poised, and you know, I have my guys ready to play.
Defending him though, because of his mobility and the fact that he likes to get out of the pocket, how does that change kind of how you have to approach his linebackers? What's going on?
Oh, I mean, you just got to keep your eyes in front of you, you know, and just be very disciplined. And, you know, whatever the game plan is on that, you know, certain play, you just got to be ready to just play to your technique and also to your help. You know, every coverage that we have, you know, it have help, you know, whether we're playing cloud or whatnot, and you just got to play to your leverage.
To that point, what challenges does their group of tight ends pose for you guys?
Depends on what defense we in. You know, they got some studs over there, but I feel like, you know, we got some great guys in the linebacker room, and obviously, like, you know, Chin and Zay, they do a good job on the tight ends as well. So, I mean, we just got to be ready to go. You know, today competition Wednesday, and we finna get after it against our own guys, and we feel like we got some pretty good studs over here too. So that'll get us a little juiced up going into the game.
Devin, speaking of that, how do you feel you and Landon have complimented each other? It seems like he tries to hurt guys every time he hits them. To not hurt them, but lay the boom, not just.
Yeah, he an old head, man. That's Unc right there. And, man, he just go out there and just show, you know, that he's willing to give all for his teammates. And that's just good to see. It's good energy to feed off of. And, you know, I appreciate him, man. He come to work every day and put his best foot forward. And, you know, he don't complain. He do whatever they ask him to do. And, you know, what he's best at is, you know, putting people down. And that's what he go do, and he try to make his mark on the game, and I respect it, you know, and I feed off his energy, you know, because he allowed me to be myself as well.
How much did the dub help the energy in the locker room as you guys prepare to go into Arrowhead?
I mean, it helps a lot. You know, I think the number one thing is just staying consistent, you know, to the grind. You know, whatever it takes, you know, doing what we always do, being consistent to who we are, putting in the amount of work, and just it's good to be rewarded from it. You know, it's always a blessing, but you want to keep it going, and you want to flush that one down the toilet and go do it again. You got to prepare, you know, even harder, you know, because it's the next week.
This is your first time in the Chiefs-Raiders rivalry.
For sure.
Just thoughts on jumping into a rivalry game on the road?
I think it'll be fun. You know, I'm just really, you know, want to make my impact on this game and, you know, become, you know, a bright spot for the Raiders in the rivalry, and, you know, just have a lot of iconic plays. You know, that's what football is about, is making memories, you know. So I want to go out there and do that, but do it, you know, with my brothers, playing team defense, not searching for nothing, but when my numbers call, just going out there and making a play.
Devin, to that point, as a linebacker, what can you say about your defensive line?
Man, I respect those guys a lot, man. They put in a tremendous amount of work, you know, starting with Max, you know, and they coach Robbie. They do crazy drills that translate to the game, and I work with them after practice, and any time that I'm free, I try to go do some get-offs and stuff with them just to show them that I'm committed to being a part of the process, you know. And, man, even in the run game, them boys they be doing their thing. So, I mean, hopefully we all get rewarded with dubs, because that's all that matters.
Whenever it's a situation where you're matched up with Kelsey, what's that coverage like? What's that challenge like?
Devin White gonna win. That's all. Devin White gonna win when I'm against him.